Hey guys, I'm Ethan Moore from Stockroom Supply. I had a guy named Dan. He owns a clutch shop, and they make custom clutches down in Michigan. But he has this. This is part of the clutch. I think it's part of the pressure plate, and he wants me to try sanding it with the Flatmaster. So something I do very, very rarely is sand metal on the Flatmaster. It's not necessarily what it's designed for, but I'm going to show you guys how it performs when I sand metal. Now, first thing I want to talk about is the sandpaper I'm using. So I got two different grits. I got an 80 grit over here, and I have 120 grit over here. Now, obviously, very different colors. This is the standard sandpaper that we sell most of the time. Now, the difference being this white paper here, or tan paper, is a paperback paper. So when I'm dealing with things that are a little more prone to ripping the paper. So a couple reasons. Something like this piece of pine that's got a chip out like this, or often construction grade plywood where there's some slivers that are sticking out. Sometimes those slivers can get stuck and tear the paper and doesn't do any good for the paper. So an upgrade to the standard sandpaper that we sell is the Klingspor. They're both Klingspor papers, but this is Klingspor's Premier Gold. Same material that we make our sanding mops out of. So steri coated, but the main difference is the cloth back on it. So extremely flexible, extremely durable, very hard to rip. Where you have this stuff, relatively easy to tear, where this is very, very challenging. So a lot better when I'm dealing with stuff that has a lot of slivers and that can rip the paper, or when I'm dealing with metal. Works a lot better than the standard paper here. So let me show you what I can do. So I have a 120 grit on this side, and I have an 80 grit on this side. I'm going to do one pass per side with the two different grits. Then I'm going to shop and show you the finish. Okay, let's give her a shot. So I'll give you guys a close-up of what it looks before I sand it. So it looks like this is laser cut. Now on this side, almost looks like somebody has tried to finish it, maybe with a grinder or something similar. Now, I don't know what kind of metal this is, but it seems to me to be fairly high quality. I'd say maybe a 1018 or something similar to that. So yeah, let's sand it. I'm going to hit it with the 80 grit first. All right. So that was one pass there. Now if you look what I did, there's one spot where I kind of stopped a little bit, so I have a little mark there. So the real secret here is going to be consistent feed rate. We'll put that in the light so you guys can see it. But that's the pattern I'm left with an 80 grit. So let's try this side here with a 120 grit. So I'm going to try to do it a little bit more consistent as far as my feed rate. Now the one challenge I have just enough sandpaper, so I got to make sure I keep it straight. This side I have it a little bit wider, so it'll be a little bit easier. Okay, so there's my finish there. I don't know if you guys can see that in the light there. I would say that looks a little bit better than my first pass. Though if you look right here, you can see a little bit of corrosion. Let's keep it in the light there. So yeah, I'll do one more pass on this side. Maybe before I do the passes, I'll take some pictures for Dan, just to make sure he gets a good idea what it looks like. Alright, we're going to do a second pass with the 80 grit and the 120 grit now. I'm going to try to do a little bit better job of keeping a consistent feed rate. Now, one thing I could do, Dan, if you're making a whole bunch of these that are exactly the same, I would probably make a backer board, something that would sit on top, that would keep pressure down, and give you a couple handles to push on. It's quite thin, so it's kind of challenging to hold down to the table just the way it is. So just a thought there. But we'll give her another shot here. So still had trouble with the consistent feed rate just because it's hard to hold. But that's 2 passes with my 80 grit there. So now let's do a second pass with the 120 grit. Why'd you jump? So if we look there, right on the end there, I didn't have very much room on the edge. So this was my leading piece of sandpaper here. So this was facing me, and obviously I caught this piece with my sandpaper. So ideally, if you're doing this, you're going to want to have a little bit wider chunk of sandpaper so you don't catch that leading edge. Let me put this back on. Okay, so before I go any further, just with the sandpaper coming off like it did there, you guys all saw that obviously, you're going to want another thing that you can do that will help is cut these corners off square. On the very tips of this piece of sandpaper, it'll be a triangle shape. And at the very end of that triangle, there's not very much Velcro, hook and loop, or a hook on the back that will stick to the drum. So just a tip, just cut her off square. And try to avoid the edge that is spinning towards you. And sometimes just a piece of masking tape to keep that down there. Now, it makes a whole bunch of noise if it ever happens to you, but it doesn't hurt you or the machine. It just scares the crap out of you. As you guys probably saw the camera jump there. So anyways, let me make another pass. This is the same piece of sandpaper that came off there, so we'll try to keep using it here. Okay, and you can see right there is about where I stopped. So we'll just make another pass on the whole piece here. Okay, so that's what I'm left with there. That's 2 passes with a 120 grit. But again, the key is consistent feed rate. But where I was able to keep it consistent, right up here, it looks actually quite nice. But where it starts to move a little bit, that's where it kind of gets choppy. So again, a backer board would be probably the best bet on a project like this. So yeah, I hope that answers your questions, Dan. So it was kind of fun that I screwed it up for you, but that just is a good example of proving that I'm human. So anyways, if anyone else has any other questions, let me know. You can email me at info@stockroomsupply.com or just comment on this video. And thank you guys for watching. If you want to see future videos, subscribe.